Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. I'm Debbie Levitt from dcx, and welcome to hey, it's Wednesday, and that means it is office hours. Ask me anything. Hello, Ana Lucia. Welcome to people on YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn, where we simul stream. So I am here to answer your questions. This is your chance to get help with anything that's on your mind. It could be work related. It could be more on the personal side, since I am a certified life coach. I am not a therapist, but it can be anything related to anything. And I hear my LinkedIn going wild. Hold on. Oh, Dr. Nick says he's here. Hold on. I didn't see the window. Hold on, Dr. Nick. Oh, that's a lovely shirt. Dr. Nick is joining us, and I messed this up because I forgot what day it is. Give me a second. Easter Monday threw me off, kids. I have to find my me and Dr. Nick window. Guest plus me. There he is. Thank you, Dr. Nick, for sending me that message and reminding me you are here. You're the star. Dr. Nick, you look so springy. How are you?
It's bloody hot here in the UK for one day, so I just had to kind of run home. I've been working from by the next to a canal. I just couldn't work in this box in this heat, so I just thought, fuck it. Dress for the weather you want.
Got it. Well, welcome. We don't have any questions ahead of time, so I just want to remind everybody to get your questions in. And thank you again. Sorry to Dr. Nick for forgetting you were here. I'm so sorry. Can you ever forgive me?
That's all good. It's all good. I hope people have got some interesting stuff to talk about.
We don't as of now, so hopefully people will bring up a topic, or maybe Dr. Nick will bring up a topic, but we don't have any questions coming in yet. But just a reminder to people that they can put questions into the chat, which will jump up on the screen, or you can also, oh gosh, why do I get these spam emails? You can also send it to dcx.to/Q, which would come into my email, and I will catch your questions there. Did you send the rain down to Portugal? Ana Lucia says.
Probably. It's going to get cold here again tomorrow, but it's been like 24 to 26 degrees centigrade, which for London, it's amazing. It's like a full summer's day right now.
Yeah, we've got the same thing here. We definitely have spring with, I think it was 24 today. It's 21 right now. So it is definitely getting into spring. And I'm realizing I should get my fan back next to my desk for our warmer days. We do not have any questions, Dr. Nick. So I think I'm going to start by asking if there's anything, on your mind that you would like to talk about.
Well, okay, here's something interesting. This is what I was mulling over this afternoon. Delivery, right? We're talking delivery, we're talking waterfall, agile, Kanban, Scrum, delivery styles, ways of working, whatever you really want to call those things, right? Project management owned that stuff, and then product managers came along and don't know any of it. So it gets lost, right? So then AI comes along, right? And basically turns everybody into a team of one if under certain circumstances. So the question really here is there a role for delivery moving forwards? Is delivery a dead thing? It's an interesting question. It's not cut and dry. It's very, very grey. It's not black and white at all. And I think now that I've planted that seed in your heads, it will kind of grow legs over the next few days. It's quite a deep problem. It really is. I haven't got anywhere close to the bottom of it yet. It's something I've just kind of hit my head this afternoon, and I'm just still processing. So I thought I'd just share that with you guys because it's an interesting challenge. Nothing, remember, in our world is black and white, despite that everybody wants to try to put it into those pigeonholes, right? Try to pigeonhole something as black or white. This is definitely going to be horses for courses, or contextual relevance and all of that stuff. But it's really fine. It's really critically important. Now, how do you do that? And how do you blend teams of one and two with engineering cadences and those sorts of things, which Vibe coding isn't engineering production level code, not yet, and probably won't be for quite some time. So again, where do you get security reviews in? Where do you get containerization going on? Where does all this stuff happen? I think these are really big, interesting questions to ask that absolutely affect what we do.
Yeah, that is a good question, and I'm not sure anybody's worked that out yet. Especially as they're trying to reduce cross-functional teams to much fewer people. By the way, the audience is saying that, like last month, they're only hearing you in their left speaker.
That's so
So
weird. I don't know why.
yeah, I don't know what happened. You and I will have to take a look at this maybe another time, catch a 10 minutes somewhere and have you log in without us streaming and see if we can fix this. But we'll do our best to hear you this time. And I'll make a note, Dr. Nick, left ear.
Yeah, and I'll try to speak closer to the mic so that the one channel is loud enough.
Yeah, we'll try to take a look at that. Yeah, it's definitely a good question of what will it look like, and will we still shoot for agile or scrum in a world where it's going to seem just like a constant stream of AI coding, and will there be traditional releases in that sense? I it's a great point, and it's one I haven't even thought much about, so I don't even have a hypothesis or a prediction yet.
No, it's difficult. What we're really talking about at the heart of it is speed of iteration. That's somewhere close to this. Like there's something absolutely, because iteration and development are now much shorter, quicker, faster, cheaper, easier, right? In which case, how do you? My only dog in this fight is obviously user insight to informing the product's user centricity, shall we say, building the right thing for the people who are going to be using it, ideally with them. So how do you do that if somebody's moving at breakneck speed? There's no breakpoints for you to get in there, right? At least with agile or even waterfall, can be checkpoints or a product manager enforcing a checkpoint or doing something. When you've got people who are not UX or even product literate building at speed, they're going to build the wrong thing. And we know this, and we're seeing it. And as I recounted in one of my stories a while ago, yeah, I did it myself when I was vibe coding that thing for work, and I started again on the Sunday. So and that's us, or that's me, you know what I'm saying? So it's like everybody's pretty much vulnerable to this stuff because it's so fast. So how do you not slow things down, but get in the way of that to make sure that you're going in the right direction? Now,
Yeah,
the immediate
please go
answer there, by
ahead.
the way, the immediate answer there and the immediate wrong answer, I'm just going to call it out, is things like synthetic users and skills-based evaluations and this sorts of stuff. And I want to qualify that because all that does is get you ready to do a proper user research test. It's a tool for me or Debbie to use or us to use to make sure our work is good before we put it in front of somebody. It's not the test. It definitely isn't the test, and that's going to go horribly wrong. We're probably going to see 2 or 3 years worth of people doing synthetic users based stuff and getting it very, very wrong. No attribution, all the stuff that we've moaned about for the past 10 years, it's just going to keep on going. Fingers pointed, blame, all of that stuff. That's coming. But we're going to have to try and work our way through it and sort of deal with this mess. But blowing money faster isn't the aim of this game. And that's the way it goes if we don't work out something to this conundrum.
Yeah, and Ana Lucia is pointing out that a lot of this is also headed towards worker burnout and a lot of executives and leaders treating us like we are just disposable and they'll just run us ragged to go faster, faster, faster and burn us out and then go, okay, bring in somebody else, burn them out.
You know what? Okay, the one consistent truth in my world, probably in our world, I think many people will relate to this, is the number of people that come to me personally every month over the past at least 10 years asking for rescue help, remedy help, right? I did a thing. It's not, my neck is on the line here. I've spent a lot of money with an agency, promised it to my senior leadership team, etc. And I need you to save me. It doesn't matter which brand that I've been at, whether I'm working personally or professionally, through my network of friends and family, I've always got somebody coming to me, or through my VC days, I've always got somebody coming to me saying, please help us. because what happens is people live on analytics. They think that's insight. And it's analytics like Google Analytics or Hotjar or, this sort of stuff. And it's like, well, heck, if you're going to build something in a garage and fly on kind of instruments only, it's not surprising when you're going to fly into a brick wall. And stop asking me stupid questions. Like, dude, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, that's where we're at. And we've reset the whole world is back to this. So I guess, I don't know, my point is trying to keep people honest. Trying to keep people honest. I think that's probably what I'm trying to say in a bad way. Sorry, I've got MCPs firing on my windows everywhere, all over the thing. Sorry, hang on.
Just click continue.
No. Also, that one won't authenticate properly. That's another problem. Anyway, yeah, it's a messy world of analytics-driven insight or synthetic users-driven insight, which doesn't build the right thing. I think that's the underline on the clumsy point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, you'll build something great for a fake person who doesn't exist, and then you'll wonder why the real humans aren't buying or upgrading or buying more, or why they're unhappy with your price increase, or it's uh, people at all levels in corporates have been surprised for many years when they listen to the wrong data or no data, and this is going to be no different.
Yeah. The question is, how do we let them know, or how are they going to find out? How do you expose reality to them instead of the carefully curated or corporately licensed reality through the lens of their tool, right? Because a lot of these tools, you assuming validity, and a lot of these analytics tools, I know for a fact, have got some very questionable stuff going on in them. It doesn't make any logical sense to the story of other analytics, yet it's showing you a graph that cannot make sense. There's contradictory internally contradictory signals in things like Hotjar. It drives me nuts. I don't know how anybody does that. Anyway, so yes, I'm just trying to fill time with thoughts.
Yeah, we have a question. We actually did get a question, but that is an interesting one, and thanks for bringing it up. So and Ana Lucia says analytics aren't enough either. It forces you to assume a lot of things if you only use that as data. Sure, it tells you how many, but not why, who, how, and especially why. So we got a question from Shaunak, and Shaunak says, how do you guys stop overthinking and just start doing to get out of your head? This can include anything from personal or professional lives. Dr. Nick, I know this is a big one for you. Go, go, go.
I love that question, and that's a really brilliant question to ask. And I was actually thinking about this earlier today. I'm going to try and do this and then get back on track. Especially for neuros, but I think this is probably true of all. Getting out of your head with things like music or going for a walk and being outside, it's so amazingly important in today's world of home working and AI and just stuff, right? Getting out of your head in a positive way, even like I said, is listening to music, reading a book. It's anything that takes away you listening to your own thoughts, right? Because the ADHD brain, those thoughts are on fire, and you try to listen to them, you lose your mind. It literally go crazy. So number one, how do I stop overthinking? As the first bit, I listen to music all day, every day. I listen to fractal music. I use Brain FM. I listen to the sound of hair dryers, industrial fans, rain, you name it. Often progressive jazz, anything that doesn't have vocals in it, right? The only voice I want to hear is mine, kind of thing. Anything else gets in the way, literally. So I cannot hear it. But ADHD folk, brown noise, fractal noises, bassy noises, they trigger some kind of ASMR effect, which is visceral and physical, and OMG, it's amazing. It's so yummy. Yeah, don't do that. But you know what I mean? I can't hear it, but yeah. Right, but so that's the kind of the generalist stuff. Like, if ever you're freaking out, you're usually freaking out because you're overthinking it, right? That's a fairly safe to say it as a broad brush statement. So me, you've heard me say this lots, I go for a walk and I stick my headphones on, right? Because there's nothing better for dopamine and serotonin, noradrenaline, than walking with positive emotion. Exercise with emotion. That does something to the chemicals, which means your brain doesn't think quite the same way, or you're distracted. So that's number one. Number two is just start doing is the best thing that you said in that question, if you know what I mean, right? JFDI, just flipping do it, right? Because everything is iterative. Everything in my, I think I can't think of anything that isn't. Like, I can't think of anything where I go one and done, walk away, aren't I special, right? The world doesn't work that way. It never has, does, and I don't think it's ever going to. So just starting is your first iteration. Your first iteration. Now, I want to attribute this quote to Luke W., but I don't think it is. I've just never been able to find the source. The quote is basically, your first iteration is usually your best description of the problem. And it's so wise and so smart, right? The first time you can get that iteration down on paper, it's your first attempt, and you're looking back at it and you go, oh, okay, I didn't quite get that. It's helping you to understand the problem. And as we've mentioned on the show many, many times, understanding the problem without fetishizing it is absolutely important. It's critically important. So iterating something helps you understand it and then provides you with the actual base to move forwards, right? Again, more personal stuff. I'm an anxious, neurotic kind of neuro person, right? So doing stuff helps me channel all that anxiety and fear into something positive, which is a feedback cycle to make me feel better about myself. You know what I mean? That's unfortunately just the way that I'm wired, and I think lots of people like me are wired. When I freak out, I have to do something. I can't sit around and not do. So doing makes it better, or at least makes it feel better, like I'm doing something to address the situation. I hope that answered your question nicely. It seems like you're already doing it.
Yeah, and I want
Well,
to add to that because I certainly agree. I want to add to that for me personally, I find that especially if I'm overthinking something, I usually want to get this out of my head and out of my body and give myself permission to take a break from it. But I usually feel like I don't want to take a break from it until I've documented it in some way. So I have two voice recording apps on my phone. Like one is the voice recorder that came with my phone, and the other is Fireflies, hashtag not sponsored, which will transcribe what I say. And so sometimes if I really have something that's on my mind, in my head, I'll just go outside or in the other room and I'll turn on the voice recorder and I'll just start talking about it just to get it out, but in some way that I have it for later. Do I want to turn this into an article? Do I want to turn this into nothing and it's just me expressing myself? Do I want to rethink it and send it to a friend? Do I want to rethink it and send it to Claude? Do I want to bring it up with my husband later? And so sometimes just for me to process it, I'll start by making a voice recording, and then usually I'll listen back to it. I'll listen to it at like 2x because I speak kind of slowly. So I'll listen back to it at a faster speed. And then I'll either say, yeah, that sounds good. I can walk away from this for now and I can give myself a break and just know that I've got that documented. Or it might start me in, like Dr. Nick said, in a take action mode where I'll say, okay, now that I had those ideas or those thoughts, now I want to keep working with this and I'm going to go further into it. But I would say either way, it gives me permission to either take a pause if that's what I need or go deeper into it if that's what I need.
yeah, absolutely. Um, my any vibe coding tool I've got, if you look down the left-hand side at all the different folders, every one is just an idea. So it's the same sort of thing. Instead of me talking my idea into my phone, I'm talking it into a prompt, into, you know what I mean? And I'm just going around the motions. I have to say, maybe a bit tangential, I'm loving single HTML, like no stack vibe coding, right? Just
What is
vibe
it?
coding in HTML. I'm calling it no stack. I just made that word up right now. Like, I'm vibe coding just in plain HTML, right? Just, I tell it every single time, this is going to be a one file application. It's only HTML. You are not to use any fancy technologies. And if you do, and use any images, you have to bake them into the HTML or generate SVG so that I have a one file distribution, right? And it's usually under 100K or something like that. So it's small, portable. I've been doing all my presentations like that. Any half-baked idea, I've been prototyping this way, and it's just fast. There's no deployment. You don't F around with anything. It's just the speed of code is amazing, right? Does it look amazing? No. Does it look good enough? Yeah. It looks pretty amazing, you know? So yeah, I'm sorry, that was a bit tangential, but
No, we agree with you because I just did an episode on that a couple of weeks ago. So people who want to see me do it live in an archived YouTube video, episode 292, was where I showed myself doing some of exactly what Dr. Nick is talking about in a Claude chat and having it build kind of a one page or one HTML file prototype of we just kind of riffed in the show, but I was trying to show people that you can do this, and not everything has to be Claude Code or Replit or these things. I do want to mention Ana Lucia made some comments, and I want to read them. She said, personally, my overthinking started getting more and more diluted when I used rationalization against it. Are these thoughts reasonable? Are they grounded? Why are you thinking about it? Can you do something about it? If it's out of your hands and you've done everything you can, leave it be. You can't change everything. So, yeah, ask yourself why, and try not to think too much about the future if you tend to have catastrophic thoughts. Is there something you can do now? Then do it. If you can't, then accept it's out of your hands. You did what you could, right? Take a deep breath. Use to-do lists to keep yourself grounded.
yeah, I've tried all of that. That's great, and it probably does work for other people, just not for me. I've tried it all so many times. For me, and I can only speak to my personal lived experience, it's very visceral. It's very like real. It's very felt. There's something about my empathy and my psychology at play here, because it's like broken empathy. Like it's like I feel too much, and in reading people, I'll often overread or overthink or misinterpret signals. You know what I mean? I'll see the cue, but misinterpret the signal behind it. And that's a bad place to be, because if you're analyzing and overthinking and you're misinterpreting signals, you're creating a world of fantasy in your own head, which is bullshit. And that's not good. That's a bad thing. But it feels very real because it's so physical. It's so real, right? It's like, gosh, that person really does hate me. I can tell because they're glowing. That's, you know what I mean? It's not quite like that, but you know what I mean? You pick up on the wrong things and then overthink and read too much into it, right? When that's not what was happening. And that's a very, very dodgy, bad trait to have. It's just one of the things that I and other people carry, you know? So yeah, but music helps. Music helps a lot. Music is my grounder. Because music makes all of that go away. Literally, it dissolves it. It fades away. There's no room in my head if it's busy interpreting music. Right? It's like it's got all these kind of nerve endings. And if I don't fill them up with music and good things, it will fill itself up with garbage. Right? So you just got to keep the brain busy. That's the secret in my world, is keeping my brain fed. Otherwise, it makes up bad things.
Yeah, Ana Lucia says, I shared my experience because I know there are several approaches to this. My brain is an anxious mess sometimes, and this is how I keep it in check. And yeah, just a reminder that different things are going to work for different people for different reasons. And if somebody doesn't resonate with what I said or what Ana Lucia said, maybe what Dr. Nick said works better for you. So, I think the idea is experiment and iterate, find out what works best for you and helps keep you calm and focused and productive.
Mm-hmm. And in this world of AI, I think, unfortunately, keeping up to date with the latest stuff, not the very latest, but staying up to date with the progression of AI is just one of those necessities, and it will help you stay cooler. And I hate the fact that there's like a knowledge arms race on right now, and no one's sharing knowledge. It's ridiculous. There's too much knowledge hoarding. When I look at LinkedIn right now, today, I posted something today that I thought was deeply insightful and really brilliant original thought that's had like 2 views that hasn't gone anywhere. The algorithm's binned it, right? Talking about your relationship with your AI is important because of the new memory features that are developing rapidly, right? Memory is effectively calibrating the machine for you. It's a form of personalization and customization, right? You're going to get a better output if you've got a better long-term relationship with a calibrated AI, because it knows you and your preferences and the context. It's just, that's fact. but no one's talking about it and no one's developing relationships. So, but that's not something that people want to hear, right? That requires a bit of effort and time. The rest of my feed is just all populist garbage. It's
Yeah.
awful. So it should be full of people sharing skills and techniques and all the things that, or just amusing reactions from the AI, right? Or cool integrations, or whatever it is that people are doing with AI today. But it's completely a ghost town, and you think everybody would be strutting their stuff, showing off cool ideas and stuff. But they're not. It's all hoarding. It's terrible. It's not good. LinkedIn is bad. It's been not destroying. It's been hurting me because I want to educate. I want to, to learn myself. And it's not the platform for that anymore. It's a look at me platform.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, I'm all over the place today, but you understand what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, unfortunately, what LinkedIn raises up or thinks in the algorithm is a lot of crap. I've even been studying this with Claude for months, where I had it analyzing every single post I made. I had it look up all the news on the latest LinkedIn algorithm. And after months of analyzing all of my posts, Claude said, I can't find the pattern.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you said that, but it was futile anyway, because even if you had, it's such a moving goalpost, a moving target. And there's no way, and I said this years ago, and I'm standing by it. I'm not joining in a popularity race. I'm not doing it, right? I flat refuse. My mental health is more important than that, right? We've got track records of TikTokers and YouTubers and Instagrammers losing their minds, some of them very serious mental disorders, because of the need for social approval on the interwebs, right? Not happening. I'm old enough and ugly enough. I'm not falling into that. And I don't want my children or anybody I care about to fall into that either. Just playing to the crowd is an awful, awful way to live.
I definitely agree with that. And one thing that I keep coming back to is sometimes when I have those moments where I feel like, gee, why aren't my LinkedIn posts seen more? Or why aren't these streams seen as much as they used to be? Or why isn't blah, 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 insert disappointing social things here? I think about the YouTubers who I think of as successful and popular. There's a bunch of YouTubers I follow who have 300,000 subscribers. Some have over 1 million. And yet, in every single video, they're saying, please join my Patreon. Please click on my sponsorship link. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please press. Now there's a hype button on YouTube. So if you're watching me on YouTube, please press the hype button. And even the people, like, if you think I'm doing badly on YouTube with my 2.5 views on a video, I'm watching people who I like and enjoy and whatever, and they're getting hundreds of thousands of views on a video, and they can't live on that, and they're constantly fighting against algorithms. And when you do the math, of course they can't live on that. Many of them make 6, 7, 8 American dollars for every 1,000 views they get in YouTube ad money. So that's maybe 4 or 5 British pounds. And so you could have 100,000 views on a video, which to me would be mind-blowingly amazing, and you would make 400 pounds. It's not the kind of money that anybody can live on. And yet, by all other measurements, someone would say, wow, you're successful. So many people are seeing you and enjoying and liking and whatever. And yeah. So to me, just if I think I'm losing the battle here, who's winning? Because the YouTubers I enjoy with 500,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers, 2 million subscribers, and more, they all make it sound like they're struggling. I one guy that I like, I think he has 500,000 subscribers. He just did a video about whenever he talks about his second channel, YouTube throttles him in the algorithm, and he can actually see the numbers significantly dropping.
Yeah, this is the real concern is we know that AI is going to mess up employment. It already is in a big way, right? So moving forwards, if there's no jobs for younger people, they all become content creators and go onto YouTube. And then effectively your income is throttled by YouTube and your career is completely at the whim of them. It's a bit like if you and I were earning money on LinkedIn and LinkedIn decided to blacklist us or stealth ban us. That's my income gone,
I'm
right?
pretty
From
much
one
there.
platform.
I've been there for over
Yeah,
2 years.
yeah, and that's that again. That's not a sustainable income, in my humble opinion. I'm not being any big corporate bitch. You know what I mean? It's just not okay. I think what they've done is they've turned, because the early YouTubers made huge amounts of money. Everybody kind of thinks that YouTube is all easy money, and even when you're on the millions, you're not making the huge, like the walk away from work kind of money, right? And this is kind of the problem. Um, I don't see it getting any better over time. I think what we're likely to see is some competition, right? Because YouTube is garbage. It really upsets me how I've got to watch 2 videos every 5 minutes, 2 adverts every 5 minutes.
Oh.
Oh, interestingly, by the way, the Grateful Dead, right, been around for 50 plus years, got can sell out when they were all touring, could sell out any stadium anywhere every week, right? How many subscribers do you think the Grateful Dead channel has on YouTube?
That's tough because many of their target audience is of a certain age, and I'm not sure younger generations know of them. So I would probably go with 500,000.
Yeah, spot on. Like it's like 542 or something, but you're
Right.
right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's nothing. I mean, I know UXs who've got bigger channels than that, right? And I'm like, that just it's that kind of thing that blows my mind. Like, they're a genuine cultural, musical, historical phenomenon with like got massive global support, if nothing, massive US support, and you've got 500,000 followers. I just find that odd. I don't know. So there's something weird about YouTube that I fully don't get. I really don't. I think it's more designed. No, it's hard to say. I think the long form videos from those people like Mark Rober or Veritasium or those, you know what I mean? Or How Ridiculous, those super produced things that keep you going for a solid 11 minutes or whatever the algorithm hotspot is, that are edited to change scene every 0.5 to 1 second and all of that stuff, you know, the rapid transition stuff. That stuff goes down really well because it's sustained attention, and the short does because it's sustained attention for a very short period of time. But everything else, do you know what I'm saying? It's like you have to do a thing where you can do sustained attention, and there aren't many topics and wait, you know what I mean, that do that. UX certainly isn't one. I really don't see that. You know,
Yeah, and
AI
I think
is.
in general, while I believe we have quality content here, I also recognize a lot of people are going onto YouTube for fun or curiosities or hobbies. They might not want to hear about work or UX. They might want to watch a 20-minute video about the story of their favorite band and the time that the favorite band had a hit record or broke up or destroyed a hotel room. And not everybody wants to turn YouTube time into thinking about work time.
No, that's cool. I get that. I respect
That's
that.
my guess.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a good example because I don't listen to podcasts, and when I do, I find them
I don't
really
either.
dull. What?
Yeah,
Sorry?
I don't listen to podcasts either.
Oh, good. That makes me feel better. I thought I was just wrong in that some
It's
of
just
these
you and
things.
me.
Yeah, like I don't know what other people find interesting isn't. I don't find that interesting, or it's not news, or it doesn't make me a better person. You know what I mean? It doesn't improve me in some way, or it's not entertaining me. So it's like it's not interesting. It's not good. It's not good. Either entertain me or inform me or go away, sort of thing, right? I mean, that's what we're here. That's what YouTube is for. I don't know. I'm just a bit getting kind of grumpy old man. Um, yes,
Yeah,
I just
so
want to build products that work and sell.
yeah.
I just want to build cool stuff.
So, by the way, if anybody has any questions or discussion topics, we're happy to take them. We usually hang around here an hour, but we can end early if people don't have questions. You can put them in the chat or you can send them to dcx.to/Q for question. And, oh, Pepe's here. We've got Oh, Pepe's got a question, I think, about our content. Pepe, you mean like the stuff that I'm putting out or Dr. Nick is putting out? I'll put it up on the screen in case you mean us. Ana Lucia says the only thing close to podcasts I listen to is this. Debbie shows on audiobooks, and I have specific times to do it. Worst sight of the week. Yeah. So Pepe is joking about gamifying educational content. And I think the interesting thing, yeah, our content, I think the interesting thing there, and Dr. Nick's been with me long enough to have seen my channel evolve in a lot of different directions, is we used to do some spicier things on this channel. And it's weird because some people liked the spicy stuff and the drama, like worst, breaking down
Yeah.
bad UX on sites and stuff like that. And other people started disconnecting from the channel because they said, "Oh, I don't need more drama in my life, and I don't want to hear all this negativity." And so it was hard because it ended up uh, divisive, if that's the right word.
No, I can understand it, but I find it hard to hear or sad to hear because there is such a populist or happy, clappy spin on the world today, right? That people, or maybe certain people, it's like they live in this glass menagerie, right? And anything that breaks through or anything that changes that crystalline view of the world is seen as bad. And it's so terrible. It's so bad. It's very hard to keep reality curated like that. It's like a a futile task. I would love to do that, and I would be happy to do teardowns. And the only problem is, I can't even give just well-meaning, well-intentioned advice on LinkedIn without being accused of something like mansplaining and stuff, right? So if I start tucking into people, also when I've done this in previous years, much like Debbie is saying, you take a lot of flack for this stuff, right? Because they're like, people will tell you that's some designer's mental health you're wrecking right there, and it's like, well, that's not my problem if they didn't test their work or the PM didn't check it, or you just let inexperience run unchecked. I mean, whose problem is that? Especially if I'm a paying customer. But I, I as I get older and uglier, I want an easier life. I don't want to get into more fights. I'm not afraid of getting into fights,
Right.
but I don't want to have fights I don't have to have. And that's what I think Debbie and I are both saying is that's what it causes, is unnecessary BS.
Yeah, and again, it's not Ana Lucia saying, "Wait, why can't we constructively criticize things?" We can, but um that's a vibe I want to be in minimally. Like I'm not afraid to come out and say, "Hey, I don't like what Jared Spool is talking about this year," or "Hey, I don't like what so and so said," or "Wow, I found this article and it seemed like crap." But I don't want that to be my thing, like I'm not trying to do rage bait. And that's a conversation I've had with other people. Even yesterday, someone was like, well, when you stir people up and you cause fights, you can do better in algorithms. And I said, but that's not who I want to be. I could do that and I could play that game and I could go, oh, design is dead and everything's dead and ha ha ha. Do you agree? But that's just not who I am. I would rather teach and raise people up and look at things fairly. And maybe sometimes we criticize something, but I don't want this to be the channel of high drama criticizing stuff.
Yeah. You know what? Many years ago, probably close to 10 years ago, I actually called out a recruiter by name because they were spamming me with database admin jobs, I think it was. You know what I mean? Back in the day when you get called 10 times a day and you're on a working gig, an hourly paid for gig, and your phone is ringing 3 times an hour, it's not okay. It's very far from okay. And it was happening to me for a couple of years, and I lost my mind, and I went onto LinkedIn and I ranted it out for years, and then I finally snapped and said, Jane Blogs or Jane Doe, stop this, right? And the whole world destroyed me, saying you cannot call out individuals by name. You're an influencer, Nick. I'm like, wait, no, I'm not. And this was a long time ago. I didn't even have much of a following. They called me an influencer. I'm like, wait, I'm not an influencer. I'm just a loud guy with an opinion, right? What am I saying here? Sorry. last week or 2 weeks ago, I put something out about Domino's Pizza doing what I thought is completely illegal data collection, like dark pattern stuff for collecting and stuff. I got hammered for that. Absolutely hammered by a bunch of digital marketing professionals, one of which who called me out by name in a post from behind some group page, right? Disgusting behavior, but yet no one's defending me, right? It's like there's two rules. It's like, we will vilify you if we want to, otherwise you're okay. It's surreal. So I think that the bottom line is try not to overthink it. Don't just be you. I've got a thing like, oh no, it's fallen off now. Here it is. This is really one of my truest mottos that I live by.
Oh, upside down.
And it's Shakespeare.
This above all, to thine own self be true. Polonius says it in Hamlet.
Yes. Basically, be true to yourself. It doesn't make, no one else makes any difference. As long as you're true to yourself, you can live with yourself, if you know what I mean. And that's the rule I live by. Maybe that doesn't work, maybe it doesn't work for you. It's up to you. But to thine own self be true rings regularly for me. And you know what? Sometimes when you're fighting the really tough battles, either at work, you know, a political battle, or on LinkedIn or whatever is going on, if you remember that this is what you believe in. This is, you know what I mean? You're not there to damage or hurt somebody, but you're standing your ground. You're behaving in a way that you believe in. That's being true to yourself, in my humble opinion. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that question is who is that self? And I think that the one thing that I keep coming back to when people say, oh, just lie on your CV, or oh, just write some rage bait, or oh, just play the game, and I just say, I can't and I don't want to. Not only is that not who I am, but I've spent all these years building a brand around honesty. And it would make no sense to have spent all of these years building a brand around honesty and critical thinking and then start having AI write my posts or start having, or start writing rage bait or hope bait or clickbait. And, I just can't do it. I just won't play the game. And I've even been saying to people behind the scenes, like, at this point, I don't care if I die poor. I don't care if I die poor and broke somewhere in a hole. I can't sell myself out.
Yeah, well, the problem is until then, it's the Felix and Hang show.
The what?
The Felix and Hang show. Is in Felix ADP, Hang is in Hang Shu.
Oh,
Recruiter.
Felix, who I blocked, and Hang Shu, who I have not blocked, but I know who is. Okay, fine. Yeah, I blocked
Because
Felix years ago.
They've probably got at least 300,000 or 400,000 followers between the pair of them. I only thank the gods that people like oh gosh, what's his name? Iron Man. Mr. Smashing.
Vitaly.
Vitaly. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm sorry, Vitaly, if you ever read this, I'm sorry. Vitaly's amazing, and he's got at least 250,000. So there is counterbalance at that level. And that gives me some hope that the bullshit and the populist garbage that those guys tend to produce is at least balanced by somebody who's been in this industry for 15 years and knows the story. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's okay, even though you and I aren't at that level and probably never will get to that level, but there are people at that level putting out some signal to counter the noise.
Yeah, Ana Lucia says, hey, I use AI to fix my grammar. Portuguese can get quite verbose and it helps me break down sentences in English. Pepe says, I think the world has hit a trolling moment, so smart folks like the two of you either get attacked or ignored by dumbasses. Trolling people, rage baits, etc. are getting views, but you don't want that. I get it. Pepe says, I think I blocked Hang. He seems of average intelligence, to put it mildly. Well, that's one person's opinion.
Yeah. I can't say what I want to say because it's probably very, very rude and it's not probably unfair to them. But the way that they've both handle me and our industry, nah, very unacceptable. Very unacceptable. They're very self-serving, and both are very inexperienced, and I'm going to leave it at that. And
Yeah,
that's
the weird
true of
thing
the
that I
entirety.
find, because everybody tells me their secrets, which has just been the story of my life, because everybody tells me my secrets, I have person X complaining about how person Y was mean and abusive to them and did something unacceptable. And then I've got person Y who complains about person Z who did something Z did something terrible to Y. It was terrible. It was unacceptable. I can't believe they treated me that way. And then Y goes and does the same thing to X, and everyone's complaining to me about what each other is doing. And I'm just sitting there going, like, are y'all looking at yourselves at all? You're complaining about how that person treated you, and I'm not saying they did the right thing or they treated you well, but then I watched you do that to someone else on LinkedIn in public. What are
Yeah,
y'all doing here?
yeah. There's no rules. There's no. What's the word? Like gumption. There's no. It's what people want to do when they want to. Professionalism. Let's put it that way. Okay. What I'm old. We're both older, and professionalism means something completely different to us, right? The way that there's no consistency in behavior. It's I'll do what I want when I want because it feels good, right? It's horrible. It's not good. Um, I wish people were more open to learning and growth instead of this, senior after 2 years, do what I say, blah, 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 blah. Look, the long story short here is that the past 5 years at least have been characterized by optics-driven product development. That's fair to say, because UX has been in the gutter since then, right? We got binned. And all of this optics-driven top-down product development is getting all of them fired. Right? There are huge redundancies. And you can say, oh, they fired me to build another data center, or might got replaced by AI. Bullshit. Because if you are driving value, they don't cut value. So you're not delivering value.
That's what
You
I
can talk
say
about
in my new book. I say, look, while some companies do some layoffs a bit willy-nilly and they just look at lines on a spreadsheet and they cut people who are paid well, who might actually be delivering value, for the most part, if you were actually delivering value to the bottom line where the leaders are looking for it, the conversions, the retention, the revenue, the growth, all the words that we hear the product people talking about, if we can tie our work and our value to that, or anybody can, you are probably less likely to be cut. But when companies don't understand what you do, or how or why you do it, or how it affects conversion, retention, growth, things like that, then they go, oh, well, we can cut those people because a product manager can do it, or AI can do it, or the guy who delivers the mail can do it.
yeah. Yep. So I don't know
And this
what
has
the
been
way
going
forward
on in
is.
cycles for decades because I remember in the late 90s when everybody got Microsoft front page and I had my own company making websites, all of a sudden I had fresh competition from people who thought they could make websites as well as my company could because they got a copy of Microsoft front page. And I would try to work with companies and say, we can make your website and we have all this experience, we have famous clients, and they would go, oh no, like the woman who does my nails, her brother got front page and he's going to make my site. And it's just
This is
been
this.
cycles of this forever.
Yeah. It literally is the very famous oatmeal cartoon of Boyd's Toast, right? Which is 1996, 1997. Exactly this. It was at that time when Photoshop is at like 2.0, right? And everybody at this point is like, oh, I'm a web designer now, sort of thing, right? Or I'm a webmaster, as it was at the time. And you could absolutely tell the difference between an agency or a professionally created HTML site back then and something that somebody had knocked together, which had flashing stuff and looked like really bad Netscape, like, you know what I mean? Like Ling's cars, that kind of thing. By the way, I went to Ling's cars yesterday just for kind of, I hadn't thought about it in 20 years. I wonder what Ling is doing these days. And she's got a completely normal site now, right? That whole shtick of crazy, of really shocking UX is gone. It's a shame. But anyway, big salute to Ling. I used her site to teach the world how to do proper UX for years.
Right.
Sorry, yeah. Does everybody know Ling's cars? You must know Ling's cars. If you don't,
Yeah,
look it
just
up.
Ling, right? Just people can look it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's
I've
amazing.
had so many back when my business was more focused on websites. I had so many ridiculous conversations with people and even into UX. I remember Pier Mario and I did a trade show together with someone who worked for me on and off for a long time, Liz from Birmingham, and the three of us stood in a booth for a few days at at a developers conference in Germany in I think 2019, 18 or 19, and we were trying to push my company for UX, the idea of at the developers conference, hey developers, you're developers, we're UX, we can work together. You need us. And we had a guy walk into the booth and he was like, "Oh yeah, UX, my cousin does that." And we were like, "Cool." And he was like, "Yeah, what do you charge?" And I said, "Well, we're happy to draft a proposal for whatever project you've got. We'd need to know a little more about it, but we need, we can draft up a proposal for you for free. What's your project?" And he goes, "No, no, I just want to know your hourly rate." And I was like, "Well, it's X." But of course, that means nothing until you see how many hours go into the project. And he goes, "What? That's like 3 times what my cousin charges." And I said, "And yet here you are in my booth wondering about our services and what we can do for you."
So I had this situation in 2015 in a publicist agency. We brought in a contractor to do work. I was being paid £500 a day as a senior UX designer. Um, this guy comes in. He is dressed like a Victorian dandy with
He's Oscar Wilde.
incredible rings, and yeah, he looked like Oscar Wilde or like Charlie in the Chocolate Charlie
Willy
Roald Dahl
Wonka.
style, right? Yeah, exactly. Like super, and he was totally legit, and like he wore it well, right? It wasn't like cosplay, and it wasn't. It was just cool. He was cool as fuck as hell, right? And he comes in, and we give him the brief, and at lunchtime I'm looking over his wireframes, and he's hand sketching these things on paper, and they are amazing, right? Like amazing. This guy is clearly. And I said to him, "Hey man, we need to talk." I said to him, "Dude, like you're very clearly an illustrator." And he goes, "Shit, you can tell, can't you?" I went, "Yeah, man, you're not a UX designer, you're an illustrator." Uh, I said, "How long have you been doing this for?" He said, "6 months." I said, "Well, how come you're not illustrating?" He said, "I get paid $250 a day illustrating, but as a UX person, I get 500. I double my day rate, double." And that's when UX UI started. That's exactly at that point, 2015. That's when the gold
I
rush
was
happened.
and
That's
I
when
was
it.
on the American side of that as well because I was working at I was doing a lot of contract work in San Francisco at the time. I'd moved to San Francisco in late 2010, and I would run into the same thing. I would run into UX designers who clearly didn't understand interaction design, clearly didn't understand information architecture, and yet they were being hired as UX designers because at the time there were more jobs than people, and they were just hiring anybody who said they could do UX. And I looked at a lot of these things and I said, I get the feeling you're a graphic designer or whatever you were. And they would be like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, you're, that's what your work really kind of says to me. And they would say, "Well, I read this book that says if I call myself a UX designer, I can make 2 or 3 times the money." And I would say, "Yes, you can make that money, but the problem is, what if you don't do that work well?" And a lot of them just thought, "I'll figure it out." Was this kind of thing. And because companies didn't always understand what we did, they didn't understand that what that person does wasn't the same as what I was doing or could do. They didn't, they see boxes on a page and they go, "Well, these people do the same thing." And I agree with Nick. That's where you start getting that slide.
Yeah. And because there were boot camps and designers teaching other designers how to wireframe and like this UX UI thing, that all that UX UI was a designer's view of what we did, which was very, very wrong, right? All they saw was the output. They never saw the process. They didn't see the iteration. They didn't see the user research. They saw none of that. All they saw were the
Nick,
wireframe
you know I
outputs.
love to bring this out. You know this was my actual license plate, but do you know what year?
No.
2011.
Wow. So you coined the term. Now I can blame you.
Well, this was when it meant something. This was before it turned into what we
Yeah.
know today. Back at the time it was I am a user experience architect and I'm working on the user interface, and it meant something more in the psychology, interaction design, information architecture world. And later on it became more like I make pretty sketch files. And so, uh, so yes, it's strange that I have that, and a lot of people grimace at the whole UX UI thing, and I get it. I grimace with you, but that was 2011 when that meant something.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem. UX hasn't been UX for the longest of times now, at least 10 years, right? And that's ultimately where it's at. But the solution, the panacea in a world of AI moving forward, building the right thing at speed is a user-centric approach. There's just no question about that. And the world doesn't understand that. And it will understand it the hard way, one way or another. Either people will be out on their bums, and the people who are remaining are going to be forced to start to listen to the audience, or their, the intended usage audience. Because otherwise, you're going to keep building the wrong thing, and you're going to keep getting flack from the people that gave you the money to do that. Bottom
Yep.
line, simple stuff. It's not hard. Just unfortunately, the social media ego, people hate hearing that. Like, I'm not in control. It's not what I think. It's not about my brilliance. What do you mean I have to listen to the users? I've got to formulate their, you know what I mean? It's like, that's a lot of friction when it's much easier to just be like, oh, I know everything that I'm doing. Just do that, right? That's a much harder, you know what I'm saying? It's effort and friction, which no one's got any resilience for anymore. Oh, what a lovely, beautiful world we're in. It's going to get a lot worse before
Yes.
it gets better, that's for sure.
I sure hope I can turn my karaoke business into something. I am just doing a quick check on another
But
quick
by the way,
check on. Go ahead.
it has the cutest title and brand, so it has to succeed.
What is?
Pandamonia, your karaoke brand.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, I have my business card here. We are Pandemonio Party. So it's pandemonio.party. So yes, you can hire us, though we might have to overcharge you for the travel. But Dr. Nick, I hope this will be the year that you come and visit. So keep me posted about that. I'll be coming to see you, and we'll have dinner with some of the fine Delta CX Hive community members. Right now, it's going to be a small evening. I think you and me and 3 or 4 people said yes, but honestly, that's probably the right size to have good conversations with nice people. So so we'll see you soon, and then let's see. I think you're on the calendar for May, and I will do my best to not
May,
leave you hanging.
yeah, no, May is cool until I've got. I'm really looking forward to it. I've got Web Expo that month, which is, hang on.
So I've got you down for
Is
May
it?
13.
Oh, that's good. That's fine. No problem with that. That's good. It's the last week in May that I am on the dark side of the moon.
Oh, Pepe says where when? Yeah, Pepe, not in your neighborhood because I know where you live. I'm going to be in London for an event, and so I we decided we're going to do a little dinner out with some of the people who are in. Sorry, I dropped my pen. Some of the people who are in London, and that includes Dr. Nick. So we'll have Dr. Nick and Charlene and Malika, who does my book covers. Though not this one, I take credit for that one, which is why it sucks. Malika hand drew this. Um, Malika is awesome. So we've got Charlene, who's also awesome. Charlene, Malika, and someone named Stephanie, who I know well, but is not active in our community. But she came to the last dinner. So I think we have five right now. Pepe, you can fly to London for this if you want. You fancy person, you. But that is not necessary. And this is going to be June 1st. I was in London 6. Maybe I should go again. Okay, well, this is dinner on June 1st, Pepe. If you are coming, I'll send you the details. But please do not spend squillions of euros flying to London just to have dinner with the five of us. It would be
Find
nice to meet
find
you
a
in real life. Sorry?
yeah, Pepe. Find a highly dubious work reason to come to London for June the 1st. Get work to pay for it.
And then you'll learn that Pepe is not actually his real name.
No,
I know
I
who
know
it
that.
is. I'm calling him Pepe.
Okay, cool.
All right, I'm going to end the show. But Pepe, seriously, don't spend the money on it. Spend it on something better. But if you are going to be in London, or you and your special someone, if you both want to come to dinner, that's totally fine. What about the free Miro event as an excuse? Yeah, well, that's why I'm going to be in London. I'm going to go to the free Miro event and try to network.
Ew,
Um,
yikes.
what?
A free Miro. What is it? A Miro meetup?
No, there's a Miro event that looks to me like a giant sales pitch for
Yeah.
their AI tools. And
Uh,
so I made a shirt promoting my AI transformation work, and I'll go to the meetup of the Miro event.
okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, Ana
Yeah,
Lucia says free food. Well, it's an expensive plane ride for free food. So, but again, I'm hoping to network. And if I get one client out of it, that would be fucking amazing. So, Pepe, keep me posted. I did reserve a table for six, so there is a chair for you. If you're bringing special person, I'll have to reserve a bigger table. So let me know. Nick, thanks again. Sorry, I missed you at the beginning there. Please forgive me, and see you in a few weeks. And everybody else, I will see you. Okay, no more streams this week, but my Maven course starts on Saturday. Go to dcx.to and click on courses if you want to jump on my weekend course where I'm going to teach you a little bit from atomic product market fit and a lot about how I use Claude in my research work. Nick, any last words?
have a great week, people. Stay safe out there.
Yay. Thanks again. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.